Hi guys, it's Brianna. I know I haven't blogged a lot lately. Um, I'm just kind of getting into the swing of things with working as a part-time nurse and living on my own and trying to balance all of that with blogging, and it's definitely been difficult. Um, but I thought I would make a vlog to link up with Anna and Paige for the nursing monthly nursing link up. And this month we're talking about tips on landing jobs and job interviews. And I definitely have experience in that. If you didn't know from my blogging and tweeting and everything over the past year and a half. Um, so the journey of landing my first job was definitely a long one, and one I wasn't expecting. Um, you're always told in school that, oh, they're always looking for nurses, and it is true. They're always looking for nurses. But a lot of places want experienced nurses. And, as a new graduate, that's not really something you can give all employers. Um, so you just have to really keep an eye out for those that are open to hiring new grads. And I'm so lucky that my place of employment was open to hiring me without having had any experience. And they've been so helpful these past 2.5, 3 weeks that I've worked there, throughout orientation and my first couple of days on my own. It has definitely been a learning experience, but I have enjoyed it so much, and everybody is so helpful and welcoming and open to helping me with everything and answering any questions. So I lucked out, definitely, and I'm glad that I stuck it out throughout those 14 months of applying and waited and um, really lucked out with this job. So I thought I'd give all of you nursing students and new graduate nurses some advice, because it wasn't long ago that I was right in your shoes. So I understand. So my first piece of advice, and something I wish I would have taken to heart when I first graduated, was to apply everywhere, anywhere you find an opening, apply to it. Even if it's not really a job that you imagined yourself in or a place you imagined yourself living, you have to start somewhere. And for me, I kind of stuck with applying to the huge hospital in my town, the Mayo Clinic, if you guys don't know. And that's what I was really interested in. And so I neglected to apply to some hospitals in surrounding towns, such as where I'm working now, until, 6 months down the line, 9 months down the line. And so I let a lot of job openings and possibilities slip through my hands by doing that. So definitely apply, everywhere you find. However, keep in mind your budget, because moving isn't cheap. Buying the stuff to live on your own isn't cheap. Can you afford to move across the country for your job? If you can, by all means, go for it. It's a great experience. But really, if you can't afford the cost of moving, rent, deposits, all those other expenses, then stick where you can afford it. So that was kind of what I kept in mind. Not having a job right out of school, I knew that I couldn't apply to, let's say, Nashville, where it's always been my dream to live there and work there, which eventually maybe I will, but as of right now, I couldn't afford to move there and start over down in Nashville. So I kept that in mind and applied to areas that were within, an hour drive of my house, and places that I could afford. So that's something to also consider when you're applying for your jobs. Um, as far as the interviewing process, which is very nerve-wracking, I know. It still is. After, I don't even remember how many interviews I went on, 15 maybe? It still is nerve-wracking. But just remember to practice. That's like my biggest piece of advice for interviewing, is to practice. Usually there's sites out there that have practice questions for behavioral interviews, which most of the nursing jobs will have behavioral interviews. So that's more like situational based. So using your clinical experience, any work experience, anything like that to answer questions, that's what they look for. And a lot of employers will ask very similar questions. Most of the questions that I was asked in each interview. So it's kind of easy to, after your first two, get the hang of what they're going to ask. But also don't be afraid to bring a note card to your interview with keywords or situations that kind of trigger memories or trigger stories that you can use during your interview process. Most employers are open to this, and I brought along a note card on all my interviews, and it definitely helped in some situations, but don't rely only on the note card. Don't just sit there and read off the note card. They don't like that. Make eye contact. That's very important. And also study up on the organization you're interviewing for. Employers like to see that, you know, your values match up with theirs, and you're the type of person that they're looking to hire for that job. So definitely make sure you know about the organization, their values, anything like educational opportunities, anything like that that can make you sound knowledgeable about the position that you're interviewing for. It's very important. Let's see, what else? Ask questions. You know, even if you maybe know the answer to the question, still ask it because it looks good. It makes you seem interested in the position, and that you're kind of a participant in the interview, and you're not just sitting there and answering their questions. You're also asking them and showing a genuine interest and want of having this job. So that's important. Find commonalities with your interviewers. I think that's one of the main reasons I landed the job at Urgent Care where I work. I mentioned one of my career goals is to get my certification to become a sexual assault nurse examiner. And one of the ladies interviewing me was actually certified in that. So just finding common ground and showing that, you know, you're able to get along with the nurses and the people that work there, and that you have similar, you know, views on things. You don't have to have the exact same idea about everything, but it's important to, you know, show that you have something in common. So I was lucky that was one thing I had in common, was wanting to become certified as a sexual assault nurse examiner. But coming onto the floor during my orientation these last few weeks, I have a lot in common with the other nurses that I work with. Even though a lot of them are older than me, I'm one of the youngest. There's only one other person on the floor that's my age, so I'm kind of the baby of the group, but we have a lot in common and a lot of similar sense of humors and things like that, so we get along great. And I think that's part of the reason why I landed this job, because in urgent cares, they usually aren't looking for new grad nurses. They usually want somebody with experience. So I think part of the reason that I landed it was having stuff in common with them and showing interest in the position, and it kind of aligned with some of my future career goals as a nurse. Something else that's important is to emphasize your strong points. So looking at my resume, you could clearly see that I had a lot of experience with children of different ages. Not necessarily nursing experience with children, but experience with children nonetheless. And so being that in the urgent care, you're seeing a lot of kids, this, you know, would appeal to my interviewers because it showed that I had, you know, a long-term interest with working with kids, and experience in the past working with them. So I kind of might have tricks or tips or the ability to get along well with children and get the job done in a variety of different age groups. So I think that's something that would appeal, even though it wasn't nursing experience. It was experience that would apply to my career. Following the interview, always remember to follow through. So if you don't hear from the organization within the time frame that they told you that they would let you know about this job by, Don't be afraid to contact your HR representative or the interviewer directly and ask them when you expect to hear back from them about a decision that's made. Also, if you can, write a thank you note, like a thank you email or a handwritten note, something that shows that you are genuinely interested and you thank them for their time that they gave you. It's always important to follow through. Um, and then, like I said earlier, always remember that you have to start somewhere. So even if this job that you land isn't something that interests you in the long run, it's experience nonetheless. So after 6 months or so of working there, you can maybe apply to other jobs if you wanted to, and you have that 6 months of experience. And usually after 6 to 9 months, up to a year in places, you're not considered a new grad anymore. So you have more opportunities for jobs that are open to you and are more willing to hire you because you're not a new grad and you have that experience. So this is only your first job. There's always room in the future to move somewhere else. I'm lucky that I absolutely love the urgent care, and it's a great first job. I'm learning a lot. Yeah, and who knows? Maybe I'll stay here a year. Maybe I'll stay here 5 years. Maybe longer. Who knows? But I like where I am at right now, and I hope all you nursing students are getting through school. All you new grads or soon-to-be new grads, don't stress too much about applying for jobs. I know it's tough and it can be really challenging, but eventually you'll get to the position where you are at a job you love and the interviewing process will be over temporarily. So I hope you all have a good day and you have learned at least something from me. And if you have any questions or concerns or want to ask me something about my experience, leave a comment or email me or tweet me. And I'm always here for you. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.